The Doinsky?
It's in your hands. We are live right now. Welcome to another episode of Locker Room Chat. The floor is yours, Kalon. Please.
Hey, we got a special guest. You know, I like to introduce my uncle, 1996. Damn!
Yeah.
1996 first round, second pick to the Jacksonville Jaguars, Pro Bowler. You feel me? Ring of Fame. Kevin Hardy, what's up, man? How you living? How you living?
I'm living good, living good. I'm down here in Duval. I just went to the Jags first scrimmage yesterday. They had the first scrimmage. They had it in the stadium, and a lot of excitement around here. Mainly because people are excited about the team itself, but obviously Travis Hunter brings a lot of energy to the city. People excited about the combination between him and Brian Thomas, and there's just a lot of good things happening. So I'm excited about the team this year. I don't want to talk too much. I'll let you guys, ask questions. We'll go from there.
No, we here to hear you talk. That's it. But you said you just left what was it? Was it their first practice or they've been practicing already?
So yeah, they've been practicing. Obviously, the training camps opened up about a week ago, but this was the first scrimmage.
Okay.
Obviously, they had the Hall of Fame game on Thursday, which was the first preseason game. And then this week, most teams host a scrimmage probably yesterday. A lot of teams did scrimmages yesterday. Jacksonville had one, and they did something unique. They had it in the stadium. And they did that because of Jacksonville is about to go through a stadium renovation. And so they're trying to obviously build a lot of hype, just a lot of energy around that. So they're, giving the fans a little taste of some of the things that's going to be happening with the stadium. And also just giving it that environment. We got a new coaching staff. We got a new GM, a lot of new faces around here. And so they're just trying to do something different than they've done in the years past.
That's what's up.
Hey, has he learned how to say Duval right?
Duval.
Yeah, that's the thing around here. Yeah. He got it. The first day was a little shaky, but we good to go now.
Hey, so how do you feel about Travis Hunter?
I'm excited about him. I mean, the thing about this, the first time I met him, I was a little surprised by his size. And what I mean is on both ways. One, he was a little taller than I thought he was, but then he's also thinner. But it's lean, muscle, you know what I mean? And so watching him run around, watching him move, he's definitely not fragile. He can have that appearance of, man, that guy's probably going to get broke up. But as you see him move around, it reminds me of a guy that I played with in Cincinnati, a guy named Chad Johnson or Ocho Cinco, in terms of how lean, and muscular his body type is. Because Chad was the same way. He would run around. You would think that kid gonna get broke up, but he was so strong. And I think Travis has a lot of those same qualities. I'm not saying he don't be as good as Ocho as a receiver. I'm talking about his body type, and I feel like he can get to that level. He could be better. But I'm just saying from a standpoint of first impression, seeing him, but obviously not seeing him in an NFL game yet.
Right.
Go ahead, Carl. No, so when you say that, so do you think he can play all those downs going both ways, or he's going to have to pick a side?
Well, he's definitely not going to play both ways the entire game. That's just not going to happen. I think that, and again, I don't have any inside information, but I truly believe that it's going to be a week-to-week, a game plan thing. I think they'll look at, the team that they'll play. They'll look at matchups and decide, which side of the ball, that he'll be most needed on for that particular week. Again, I don't really know how they plan to use him, but I do know yesterday he started the game out at receiver, and he played, I think, the first 3, maybe 4 series with the one offense with Trevor Lawrence and the guys, and then he switched his jersey. Which as soon as he did that, the fans kind of went wild. It's just something cool to see. A guy changing his jersey. Obviously, that won't happen on game day because they all have on the same jersey. But in that scrimmage, he had to change the jerseys, and then he went out and played some snaps on defense. So I think it's going to be the same type of approach when the season comes. But I think that his primary focus, and I think the team would like to see him more on offense as opposed to defense.
Okay. Now let me backpedal a little bit, because what I want to know is, because you grew up pre-NIL, you grew up pre-max preps, you grew up pre-huddle. You know what I mean? So what was your recruiting process? Because you went to a good school. It wasn't like you went to no snub school. So what was your recruiting process going through that time? Pre-social media, pre email a link to a college coach. What was that like?
Man, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's interesting because obviously I've got the two boys, and obviously with you and your brother, and seeing guys go through it more recently. But back when I was being recruited, you're right. There was no internet. There was no email. There was no cell phones. There was no social media. So everything was done via the telephone. I mean, you got a phone call or the Pony Express. For you young guys, the Pony Express is the U.S. mail. So what happened is
that's old terminology. That's
I didn't know what you meant by
Pony Express.
Hey, Carl's eyes glazed over.
I mean, Paul, what are you doing? No, but what would happen would be most of the time your initial letters or inquiries would come from, they'd come to the school. And so your high school coach, what teams would do is they would mail these letters of, interest. They're like questionnaires, and they'd ask you to fill it out, you send it back, or they would just send you a letter of interest. And so that's what would be the first contact most of the time. And then once you returned it, or once you called them, or once they spoke, then you exchange maybe your home number, your parents' information, that kind of thing. And then maybe they would call, they'd call at the house. And that's what it was. you have to wait and get a letter in the mail. You'd get something in the mail, and then it'd be a phone call. And that's all it was. And the funny thing is that there were some rumblings about, obviously back in the day, there's always been rumblings about people getting benefits and people getting paid. I never got paid. I never got offered any.
You could just wink.
Not anybody coming out of high school, but it just like we didn't have it like that. I wish I would be winking like that, but we didn't have it like that. And I played with some big time players, but at Illinois, to my knowledge, nobody was getting paid. But yeah, when I look at it now, man, it makes me want to get me one of them WNBA shirts, man. I want to pay me what I'm worth. Let me go back and get it.
You was talking about the players, though.
Oh no, go ahead. What made you choose? I don't know. Go ahead.
How you said go ahead and?
Yeah. Well, you said what made me choose Illinois?
Players you played with.
Well, okay, what made me choose Illinois was, so there was a guy by the name of Randy Rogers, and he was at the time I was in high school, he was the head coach. Well, it was before I was in high school, but he was the head coach at University of Evansville. And that's where I grew up, Evansville, Indiana. And he had a couple of sons that were a little bit younger than me and played in an Optimist baseball league that I used to umpire at. And so I knew him, early on. And so he had left Evansville and went on and became the recruiting coordinator over at Illinois. And so I remember my sophomore year, at the beginning of just after my freshman year, he sent me a letter. And that was the first, really any size school. That was the first college letter that I had ever received. And so obviously I was excited about that. So there was always that initial connection, that first connection, that I had. And obviously after that, I got, recruited by some other schools, but I always held Illinois in that place because they were the first, and then over the years I had gone up there to a camp and met some of the other coaches and stuff. And so I just built a relationship with those guys early on that was forged, and it felt natural for that to be home.
Who are your top 3 schools?
So it was Illinois, Indiana, and Purdue. And the reason is obviously because all those is right there in the area. You know, 2 schools that I'll tell you there was 2 that I'm really disappointed in. One was Tennessee, because I had gotten a letter from Tennessee and I had been talking to them. They had invited me to come to their spring game, but I had already committed to go to Illinois spring game. And I felt like it was a little petty, but like the communication after I told him that just kind of fell off. And so that was kind of, one of those stories that I never forgot. And then also Notre Dame, because Notre Dame being the in-state Indiana school, obviously they, the football tradition that was there, they never really recruited me. And, I kind of held a chip on my shoulder over that because I felt like, in-state talent. I mean, I was in the southern part of the state, but I really wasn't recruited by Notre Dame. One school that I had considered that I was wanting to maybe go to was Cincinnati. The reason is because they recruited me as a tight end, and when you're young, you get your name in the paper for offense, for scoring touchdowns, running the ball, doing that kind of stuff. And so that's where I was having my most success at from the offensive side of the ball. At least that's where I was getting all the accolades. And so, the guys over at Cincinnati told me I could play both ways. And, not that I was going to be, I was like that linebacker, but I think they were just trying to entice me to, to go over there and play like that. But anyway, I'm glad my dad, he shut that down because he was like, you're not going to have the body frame of being a tight end. And, so you're better off, playing outside backer. And so that's how that, came about. So
that's what's up. Hey, what I want to do is, because let's talk about a look at God moment, because you had the connections pre-Illinois. That's what helped you get to Illinois. Now let's talk about the names, because you were playing around the times when there was Zach Thomas, Ray Lewis was playing.
Yeah.
What's the other big name linebackers? But look at that trophy right above your head. Talk about that feeling. Talk about that feeling, winning that trophy over the top names that are currently NFL legends, Hall of Famers. What's that?
You can say that, Hall of Famers. No, but when I went to Illinois, never in my wild. First of all, coming out of high school, I was just excited to have the opportunity to go to college and play football, especially at a Big Ten university. Mm-hmm. And so when I got to school there, I didn't have the preconceived, notions that I was going to be playing in the NFL one day. Certainly every kid that plays football probably has the goal of playing in the NFL. But, most of the time it's just a dream that you don't really think there's going to be a reality. And because I wasn't like this crazy, all-American 5-star, it wasn't even 5 stars back then, but this coming out of high school. But, when I got to Illinois, there was a guy there by the name of Dana Howard and another guy by the name of John Holasek. They were the 2 inside linebackers. So they was a year in front of me. But the interesting thing that happened was after their freshman year, the team was very young and they became the starters. The reason why that's important, because those 2 guys were like amazing linebackers from the inside. They played Mike and Will. Mm-hmm. And Dana, if he won the Buckus Award in 1994. Mm-hmm. And so his play was inspirational. So after my freshman year, when I had redshirted, when I was about to play, a guy came there by the name of Simeon Rice. Simeon Rice he played as a true freshman, just an amazing football player at a young age in terms of his size, his speed, his athletic ability. And so basically after my sophomore year, we had the 4 of us, but I'm playing with John Holasek, Dana Howard, Simeon Rice. Now, in 1992, I think that's the year, maybe it was 93, the 3 of them was first team all Big Ten. And I was second team. And I kind of felt like I might have, I might have been honorable mention, but I knew I felt like I was the odd man out. And the reason why I'm telling this story is because they were really part of the driving force that made me just busted in the offseason, because I didn't want to be the weak link. I didn't want to be the guy that they talked about, the 3 first teamers, and then there's a guy named Hardy. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so it was tremendous motivation, and even to this day, I credit those guys for helping me get to where I got to, because if it wasn't for them, I probably wouldn't have been pushing myself the way that I did. And so anyway, so my junior year, I ended up making first team along with Dana and Simeon, and Holosek was second team. But anyway, so through it all, so that was my initial, drive, motivation. And, moving to the bucket sport, like you were talking about, a lot of times, these awards and things are mostly about stats, what kind of stats you put up. And the thing that made me the player that I was the combination of the size, the speed that I had. At 6'4", 245 pounds, I could play off the ball linebacker, I could rush the passer, I could drop, I can cover a tight end one-on-one, I can cover a back out of the backfield. We had a system where, and we played our cover two, the outside backers would go out and play the cloud corners like most people do. And so we would jam, funnel the number one receiver inside, and then play high-low. As a corner, you know how to play. So we played inverted, so we would put our outside backers outside and put the corners, inside and more like the safeties. Mm-hmm. So anyway, so that gave me the ability to show my versatility. And so with that, my senior year, I think I had 11 and a half, 12 sacks, 4 or 5 interceptions, a whole lot of tackles. So my stat line definitely outshined Ray Lewis and Zach Thomas, who were the other two finalists, because they mostly had all the tackles. They had a few interceptions, but they didn't have the sacks. So it was easy to read my stat line and say, man, this guy is all over the place, I had that, I had that ability, and fortunately I was in a system where it could highlight that. And to be honest, that's what helped me, and that's the main reason why I was drafted number 2, because of that same versatility that, Jacksonville felt like we can put him here, we can put him here, we can play him here on third down, we can play him here on first down, and that's the way it worked.
That's lit. That's lit. That's a crazy story, because look, a lot of people in your position that saw all their teammates get first team and got second team. It's crazy. In 2025, a lot of players in your position would have transferred.
Well, yeah, you're right about that. That's the thing. You're right about that. Guys transfer. I mean, this transfer portal is crazy.
Crazy
at times.
Hey, but no, that's what's up though. Hey, I got a question though, because what I want to know is who the best quarterback you sacked, college and pro?
College, man, it's hard. I don't even remember these guys in college. I mean, let's see, they had a guy named Bobby Hoyne was at Ohio State. I'm trying to think who the absolute best quarterback that I played. East Carolina had a guy, Jeff Blake. He went on. He played for the Cincinnati Bengals for a while, but he was a really good quarterback in college. Yeah. I mean, it is so stand out in college, but in the NFL, I mean, it was obviously a few different guys. I think the time that I stacked Steve Young was pretty big for me, just because of his mobility and how he can move and how good he was in the pocket. And so, because when I got the sack, he had broke the pocket and I had kind of chased him down, and he stuttered and I didn't fall for it and was able to. It wasn't just one of those traditional sacks where he was just in the backfield. I had to work for it. So that's one of the number ones. Also, obviously, John Elway, just because of who John Elway is, and as a football player. I played against all of them, but I wasn't fortunate enough to sack Brady, but I got a couple of hits on Brady. I may have got a sack on Peyton. I can't remember whether I got that or not, but certainly,
what about Vic?
You know what? I missed him.
Yeah, of course you did. Of course you did.
Ain't no shame in it, though, baby. Ain't no shame in it. I mean, that guy's a professional. He one of the best that did. What was crazy is I was coming from behind, but I was coming at him from behind. And somehow he just, I don't know how he scrambled out of there and I missed him, but it is what it is.
Hey, that's funny. That's lit though.
Hey, that 96 draft class, you think that was the best draft class?
I'll be right back.
I don't say that's not the best. You know, the thing about it is like, obviously some great players. There's some great players that was deep in the draft. You know, Terrell Owens was in that draft, and I think he was probably a third or fourth rounder. Zach Thomas was like a third or fourth rounder. Hell, Ray Lewis was like the 26th pick. You know, so there were certainly some guys, you know, deep in that draft that turned out to be, you know, Hall of Fame players. To say this is the best draft, I mean, obviously there's a lot of good football players, but there's good football players drafted every year, so I couldn't make that statement.
Yeah, because I think Marvin Harrison was in that class too.
Yep. Yeah, Marvin Harrison. There's a lot. I know Terry Glenn, I mean, he passed away, a receiver named Terry Glenn.
Yep. Yeah, Terry Glenn was in there.
Teddy Bruschi for the Patriots. He was in that.
Man, Brian Dawkins.
Yeah, Jonathan Ogden. You know, he's a Hall of Famer.
Straight
Hall of Fame guy.
Yeah, I think y'all was probably the most aggressive. I think that 96 NFL draft class, I think y'all was the most aggressive because y'all had real headhunters in that class. Because Mike Allstott was in that jank too.
Yeah, he out of Purdue. I remember playing against him in college. He's a big dude. Huh?
You ever get a chance to tackle that big white boy?
Oh yeah, in college and in the pros. I mean, we played against him when he was at Purdue.
Was he hard to tackle?
Yeah. I mean, wrecking ball. You know, and the thing about it is he was much faster than what you thought. You know, and then just looking at him, kind of like how like a Jerome Bettis is. I mean, Bettis is even more nimble than Allstott, but Allstott was faster and definitely stronger than you would just imagine. You know, I mean, because he wasn't a guy that you was just going to always get a solid hit on and he was going to go down. You know, you had to hit him right to get him down, right? Or you had to hold on, you know, you're taking for a ride.
Man. Who was worse to tackle, Jerome Bettis or him?
I think Jerome Bettis, just because of the athleticism that he had, you know, because, you know, not only was he big and round, he was fast and his low center of gravity and how he would, you know, duck down, you know, when he got into traffic. I mean, he just was an all-around good back and a hard guy to tackle because he had that rare size, strength, and speed.
Like I said, bro, y'all was probably the most physical. That's the physical era.
But what I want to do is kind of flip it a little bit because now we got both y'all on here. So, you currently got two sons playing at Wake Forest, playing D1 football. Dad, you had two sons go through the D1 process. What's that feeling like, knowing, like, you know, as Black fathers being active in y'all kids' lives, you know, we got to shine light on that because nowadays, 2025, and not enough light is shine on that. You know what I mean? So, right. I just want to hear a little bit from both of you guys. You guys got two sons playing D1 football, getting their education, potentially could be NFL stars. You got one kid in the league, Dad. We both got our degrees. What's that feel like? What's that feeling?
It's crazy because everybody talks about it. Everybody says, Dad, Dad, Dad. But on the same token, though, I want to tip my hat to you guys and my two nephews. It's also you guys' readiness level. I mean, you guys made a decision. You made a decision to sacrifice. You made a decision to be coachable. There's other fathers in in kids' lives that don't listen, worth nothing, right? But you guys made a decision that, you know what, I'm going to trust what Pops is saying. It's going to hurt sometimes. I'm not going to want to hear his mouth sometimes, but I'm going to trust the process. And so I think at the same time, I think it's a mutual relationship. It's a mutual journey between parent-child. So I also want to big up you guys on that. But, I don't know how Kev is, but I think more people sit back and say, man, good job, Dad, two black sons, this, and that. I don't celebrate myself like that because, nigga, that's what I'm supposed to do. I was supposed to get you guys in a position to go to school. I was supposed to keep you guys out of trouble. I was supposed to do that. So I don't know if you get celebrated for what you're supposed to do. That's why I don't pay attention to it. Now, I'm proud of you guys. Hell yeah, I am. But I don't wear that as a badge of honor. I don't know, Kev, what you think?
Man, I celebrate it. I celebrate you and I celebrate me. And the reason is because, you know, for all the things you said, but how tough it is, you know, the pitfalls that these young men have these days out here. I mean, not just being at school, you know, and look at the challenge it is just to be at school. I mean, when we was coming up, Chris, I don't know there was a thing called school shootings. You know what I mean?
No, at all.
You know, now, I mean, some parents, I mean, the kids go to school and you don't even know if your kid gonna come home, or a kid got to go to school and he got to walk through a metal detector, or he got to worry about so many other things besides going to school, besides education, and then obviously going to have practice, whatever sport it may be after school. And so not only, you know, that piece of it, but then the pitfalls that we see with the telephone, with the phones, and how everybody's looking at this, and you know, people want to emulate this and do this, and or you know, it's just so much to have to navigate. Right. And so I know the challenge for me was always just to try to keep them focused on what I call the main thing. And the main thing was obviously, you know, school and then making sure you're getting your body right, you know, or you get yourself right for whatever sport it was, whether it was baseball, whether it was basketball or football. And so to go through all that, and I'm sure Chris is probably say the same thing, and you probably know, it wasn't always an easy road, you know what I mean? And I'm sure there was some pitfalls. I had some pitfalls, you know, but it was a challenge just to make sure that we navigated that. And so we stayed on the path. And so to get to the point where, you know, I remember when we came over to see you play over at Alabama, you know, and I brought the boys. You was over in Tuscaloosa, and we had we actually drove over from Atlanta because there was some storms going on. Mm-hmm. But Chris, I know you remember the night before we went to a football game up there in Hoover, Alabama, and watched some guys play, and then we come down to Tuscaloosa to watch you play. The reason why I'm bringing that up is because that was such a big, you know, trip for me and the boys, because we were able to you know, I was able to show them you on a big time level. You know what I'm saying? And you don't know what that did, because it's having like a role model, to have somebody look up to and to say, man, you know, I would love to be able to, you know, to do that one day. And to see you out there on the field in Tuscaloosa, Alabama was just like, man, you know what I mean? And it was something that they talked about. And so it's things like that helped along the way to drive. But I could go on and on about just moments and instances, and just the fact that they are where they are now and you guys are where you are now, it just makes me proud. And that's why I say, man, listen, I'm gonna take some credit. Chris should take some credit, because it ain't easy to get there. And we are proud of you guys for staying the course and doing what you did.
Hey, it was so much work, Kev, because you remember even before my nephew started going through the process, bro, I would hear you just talking about football stuff.
Right.
I would just be like, even before you went through it, right? So it was cool then to turn around when they started being recruited to say, hey, so it was kind of cool how we fed each other on these journeys, man. So I appreciate you for that as well. You know what I mean?
That's good. Absolutely.
Like I said, man, it is something to celebrate, because, like I said, America don't shine enough light on Black fathers that are active. You know, so man, especially in today, man, like had Pop said prior to a stream that we had last time, he said, you know, we have a war between Black women and Black men going on. So it's just good to just see positivity, to show that, hey, man, Black fathers are great fathers. We need to shine.
We are here. We are here. We're here.
Like, there you go. We're here. Like, we're not absent. We're not what they say on social media. You know what they promote, and you know, and I'm glad we on here talking about this so we can just shine light and show the public, the media, social media, like, wait, let's just stop and chill. We got two fathers right here
Right. Big facts. Both y'all bald head Negroes.
Yeah. I'm tired of bald headed youngins though. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Hey, but no, hey Carl, well let's flip it. Let's, you know, it's time to get a little.
Yeah, I wanna bring up this Shannon Sharpe. Gets fired. No, let's say professional. Shannon Sharpe gets released.
They fired his ass. They fired his ass.
That was one of those highly recommend you leave.
Yeah, highly recommend you leave with Shannon Sharpe. So my thing is this: Shannon Sharpe probably like 54, old head. My question is, at that age, man, why do we have to entertain 20, 21-year-olds? Because he fumbled, he literally fucked himself out of a bag. Literally fucked himself out of a bag. And my thing is, when we see celebrities and people up there in big platforms, what can we learn? What can we learn from this, you know, for other young people coming up, you know, like me and Clem and ourselves?
I would say he should have just locked in with Shorty at the end of the day. He should have just locked in with Shorty.
Hey,
kept you on the phone.
I think one of the biggest things for Shannon Sharpe, I think one of the biggest things that got him was his arrogance. I think his arrogance really messed him up, because if you go back to where he had that interview with, what's that comedian named Godfrey? And Godfrey and him talking about, no, but not even Monique, but yeah, well, I'm that one, but I'm talking about after that, he had an interview with Godfrey. And they were kind of, you know, just going back and forth, you know, just talking crap to one another. And somebody said the other person looked like Medea. And then they clowned each other about Medea. Shannon Sharpe said, yeah, I may look like Medea, but that's all right. These young girls are still busting wide open for me. That right there was like, bruh, you can't say that out loud, bro, on your platform. Because sure enough, that 19-year-old show did let him know how she busted wide open. So I respect it. Epstein said they still busted wide open.
I respect it. Yeah. Hey, stand on it then. Stand on it, OG. I'm mad that they coming on Shannon Sharpe for just being a horny old nigga. That's it.
Hello, Kev. Hey, Kev, what you think? I'm interested to know your vantage point, Kevin.
Yeah, I mean, listen.
Hey, look, we not fans, Kev. We not fans. We need, you know, just.
Bruh.
He said,
listen. I'm gonna be honest. You know, and I'm giving them more of a pass than probably anybody, because I'm gonna say it like this. You know, all of us guys, you know, I mean, we like. I think all y'all like girls, you know, whatever.
Like women.
Okay, but now honestly, honestly, here's the thing. You know, apparently they met in the gym. We all been in the gym. We just said now that this was about what? I guess he met about 4 or 5 years ago. He in the gym. We've all been in the gym, or we've been anywhere at the grocery store.
She was 15, so that means she was 15.
But hold on, no. Well, how old is she now?
She's
21.
When did he meet her?
I think
4 years ago. 4 or 5 years ago. You said 4 or 5 years ago.
I mean, okay, I didn't know she was 21. But when they met, what was she like? She must have been what, 18, 19?
19, yeah.
19. Okay, so it's a couple years ago now. All right, so anyway, regardless, bro, don't try to catch me up. I ain't on trial here. what I'm going to say is he saw her. Maybe he didn't know how old she was at the time, but it was low-hanging fruit in terms of.
I agree.
She got on whatever she got on. He hollered, whatever. You know, back in the day, we call it, you know, she was a jump off. You know, because the thing about it is wasn't nobody supposed to know about her. You know what I'm saying? Right. He was never in public with her anywhere. You know, no. And so he was his what we used to call jump off, that he kept her under a rug someplace. The problem is that he let it go on too long. Because what happened is that I don't care who you are. If you a stripper, if you OnlyFans model, if you a prostitute, if you hanging around a man long enough who has resources, you feel like at some point you needed a seat at the table. And she felt like she got to that point where she wanted a seat at the table, and she didn't want to be, you know, kept hitting all this time. And yet he tried to keep her in that spot, you know, and that's where he really went wrong, because she saw his career grow. She saw, you know, how, I guess he bought a place in Vegas or something like that. And you know, she thought she was going with him. And then at every turn, he probably was like, "No, Trick, this is where you are. You stay in this box." You know, when that sound bite came out, when he was having sex with somebody, it was somebody else, I think, you know, and I don't know if she knew, you know, all the people, but at some point she felt disrespected, obviously, you know.
He should have been like Bill Belichick. You see him flexing with his young tenderoni out there.
But I think the other thing too was his interaction with her. I don't think he engaged with her as a jump off, because if you heard some of the recordings that where she was setting his butt up the whole time. But when you heard the way he was regarding her, the way he was holding her accountable to have, I think that he blurred the lines a little bit. And I'm just talking, you know what I'm saying? That he blurred the lines a little bit and made her feel.
But what I'm saying is it probably started as a jump off. And then it started getting to what you're talking about.
You know how it go, because you know how it go. I mean, we all talked to women before. Everything, I feel like 95% of these women interactions start as jump offs. Let's keep it a buck. But like, you know, you get comfortable talking to the woman, and you know, you get comfortable talking to her. My thing was, I think where Shannon messed up was he wasn't honest from the jump. Like, if he was honest from the start,
but you don't know that. We don't know that.
He was right. Yeah, you don't know.
Because like your uncle said, like Kevin said, women eventually start feeling like, hey, I deserve this too. I'm giving him my body. You know, I feel like I deserve to be seen. I feel like I deserve to go with you to Vegas. I feel like I should be shown off. Like I said, you see Bill Belichick flexing out in public with his young tenderoni.
Yeah, she was cool with it in the beginning. She was cool with it from the standpoint of, this is Shannon Sharpe, NFL Hall of Famer, this, that, and another. She was cool with the, you know, choke me daddy, you know, whatever, all the behind the scenes, you know, all the craziness, right? But she wanted to evolve, you know, and I don't know all this to be factual. I'm just trying to. But
it makes sense. It makes sense.
You know what I mean?
Time served.
He just let his guard down with it because he got too comfortable. He thought that he could control her and keep her in that box, and she was good, and nothing was gonna happen. The world wasn't supposed to know about her. Right. That's what it come down to. And she wanted to sit at that table.
But even then, we gotta look back though. He was bragging about her though on some of his podcasts though with Ocho.
Like again, it's tough to have these conversations when you don't know all the facts. You know what I mean? Because I don't know all the facts, and so I'm just speculating. You know, but I mean, what you mean? So he was saying her name and all that.
Like it was talking about her. Like,
but was he just talking about her in terms of, man, I was killing this chick. Boom, boom, boom. I was doing this. I been through. I did this. I did that. or was he saying, yes, my girlfriend Gabby?
It wasn't like that.
It wasn't like that. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, like Kevin said, we don't know what he talking about. But I'm saying,
Hey, but what we do know is she effed off his money. That's all I know.
Yeah. And got to a point. Go ahead.
And you see what just happened after he just settled. I think he settled for 20 M's with her. He retired her. Now another one just popped out, a lawsuit. You saw that one that just came out?
Yeah,
I'm just saying though, but I'm just
like
saying
a Diddy situation.
No, I understand. I understand that totally. I'm not saying it. What I'm saying is Pandora's box is open. So what it does is,
but the one that's trying to get in right now is claiming that just because he said something negative about her, anybody can do that. How many times?
It was somebody said that they lied on her.
Yeah, he did. It wasn't any physical thing. It wasn't like it was the same situation. This lady is claiming that he disrespected her or saying something about her that wasn't true.
That's right.
Happens every day. That's ridiculous.
So I mean, like I said, if I'm 54, man, I'm finna go get me one of them down south country girls that can make some net bones, bake me some cake, one of the collard greens, man. I ain't messing with no tenderoni. But like I said, Monique told that Bama, leave them young hoes alone. She told him she got on his show and told him that leave them young hoes alone.
Yeah,
and shit, it bites you in the ass. Now it's just like you said, Kevin, like it's opening up more doors for more female. Man, just make them sign the papers. Damn.
That NDA.
I feel for him, man. It's unfortunate because he's so talented. I mean, what he's built for himself is amazing. And this coming from a former player. Obviously, I played against him many years, and to see the success that he's having, that he's has created for himself, it's just so disappointing, and it's sad. It's do I think he's still going to land on his feet? I think so. Now, obviously, he's lost a lot of money, but he's not going to fold up and go under a rock.
Right.
He's obviously in his life, he's dealt with a lot of adversity. I think he still has a strong product. There's a lot of people that still support him. Yeah. He just has to now find a way to pivot and still find some partners to grow with.
That's facts, but that ESPN pack different.
Yeah, that pack hit hard.
That ESPN bag.
Yeah.
With Disney? Yeah.
Especially after having already paid out, like you said, 20 M's already. I mean,
hey, since we talking about Shannon, did you ever get a chance to meet? What question was Sterling Sharpe that good? Because that's before my time.
Yeah, so I didn't play against Sterling. Obviously, seen him play, and I mean, he had the fortune of playing with a in the prime Brett Favre, who was getting him the ball, and I mean, because he actually was there before Brett Favre. I forget the quarterback. Man, was it Dickey? Somebody Dickey? I don't know, but he's a talented receiver. I mean, and he was one of those guys. He wasn't lightning fast. I mean, he wasn't a lightning fast guy. He was just a solid football player.
They said he was really strong.
Really strong. Kind of like I'm trying to think. I mean, because he wasn't. I don't think he's not that tall either. But you look at like a Deebo Samuels as far as his strength. I mean, not near as fast, but you know how strong Deebo is of going up and getting the ball or run. Something like in that frame.
AJ Brown too. He had that frame.
Yeah, there you go.
But the fact that he's going to the Hall of Fame, it makes me question now more because Chad Johnson isn't in the Hall of Fame, and Chad Johnson had more 1,000 yards. Of course, he played longer, but he had more receiving yards than Sterling, and Chad still ain't in the Hall of Fame. So it's like
I don't think they're going to put Chad in there.
Yeah, but so it's just showing that they kind of being biased then.
Yeah, I think when it comes down to certain guys, I mean, obviously there's certain guys that are no-brainers, that you look at and you say, oh, for sure. But then you got a lot of guys whose numbers are pretty similar. And then it becomes a a little bit of who you know, or who knows you, or who likes you, or
Shouldn't T.O. be in? Shouldn't
I
T.O.
think
be in there?
I think Fred Taylor should be in.
You said who?
Fred Taylor, a guy that I played with here in Jacksonville, running back.
Yeah, Fred Taylor was a dog. Oh, you did.
Yeah. And I think he's top. I think he's top 12 in the rush. I don't think he's quite top 10, top 12. But I know every back in front of him is in, and that's crazy. You know what I mean?
There's probably backs after him that's in.
It might be a few. Yep. Yeah, definitely a few, because the rushing yards are one as much as he had. But yeah.
I wasn't playing with Fred Taylor though. I forgot you did. You did play with Fred. Yeah,
man. Fred, in my opinion, was the best running back. I saw him every day. You know what I mean? But it definitely, in my opinion, I want to say in like 99, maybe. Okay, his rookie year was 98. 99, I felt like Fred was the best back in the league, and he didn't get that type of recognition. But the reason was there were so many good running backs, especially in the AFC, because you had LaDainian Thompson, you had
Jerome Bennett,
you had Bettis, you had Corey Dillon, you had Curtis Martin, you had Terrell Davis, you had Sean Alexander. There was so many, guys, and them are all guys in the AFC, But yeah, man, Freddie was talented. He was fast as hell, shifty. He one of them guys. We'd be in practice. We would do one-on-ones with the running backs, and I had to count the guys in the lines. Okay, dog, you get in front of me, dog.
But you ain't trying to go against Fred, man.
Hell no.
So Fred Taylor is ranked 17th in rushing. He's ranked
17. I thought he was higher than that.
Okay. Yeah, you got Marcus Allen in front of him, Edgerrin James, and all them boys in front of him. You know who's right behind him though? Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry, and he gonna be a first ballot.
Yeah, Derrick Henry. Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, Derrick Henry is. He's only 200 yards behind breaking Fred Taylor.
Yeah. Who's right in front of Fred though?
Harris.
Who?
Franco Harris.
Franco Harris.
And then Marcus Allen and Thurman Thomas.
Thurman Thomas.
Yeah.
All them guys, everybody in front of them is in.
First ballot Hall of Famers too.
Yeah, and you know what's even because Fred Taylor's only he's only like 300 yards behind Thomas.
Thurman Thomas?
Yeah, he's only 300 yards behind him. And that's crazy how he's not in the Hall of Fame.
And then I wonder how many years he played versus Thurman Thomas. How many games, how many years?
But like they played about the same years.
Okay.
They played close to the same years.
Yeah.
1988 to 2000. Man, he played a minute.
Yeah, Fred, he caught a couple of nice years at the end. He played with New England, and I forget where else he went. But
yeah.
Yeah, I didn't mean to hijack the conversation and make it about Fred, but
yeah, Fred is a bad dude, man.
We gotta get bro to the Hall of Fame anyway.
Yeah, we voting for Fred to get to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, do it.
But I got a question because we in camp now. Where NFL's in camp. I think college is starting to become in camp too soon. So there was a story that happened about Christian Wilkins getting cut from an NFL team after meeting a kissing incident for the Las Vegas Raiders. I think
you said a kissing incident.
Yeah, I think he was trying to kiss or kissing.
Oh, kiss him on the forehead.
Kissing him on the forehead, and he got up to HR, and HR made a scene, and I guess for harassment. And my thing with that is, like, we all been in the locker room. We done seen worse.
But this was also the dude that in college went in and grabbed a handful of dude's ass. Like this, hey, bro, bro, this
And
dude
did it
is
split on national television.
this dude is a historical abuser. So that's the whole thing. That,
Wow.
bro, you know,
Yeah.
hey, I'm gonna jump off, but I'm gonna jump back on. I gotta take a call from one of my properties. I'll come back on.
It is good, but
I'm gonna tell y'all that
you got
ain't nothing
locker room stories.
but that ain't nothing but a sideshow. Being honest, I mean, you know, when you really peel back the onion on that, the Raiders was in a position where they had buyer's remorse. You know, they gave this guy $110 million contract last offseason. Okay. He got like 80 something, 85 million in guarantees. Okay. He goes out, he plays 5 or 6 games and gets hurt and then doesn't play the rest of the season. Okay. And so from what I read, they was upset of how he was approaching his rehab. But now, even with that, let's go back and look at the Raiders organization. They got a new head coach. They brought in Pete Carroll. Okay. Tom Brady done joined the forces, all this other stuff. But from what I heard, this guy didn't approach his rehab the way they expected him to, like a professional. Mm-hmm. And the injury itself is an injury that they not sure he's going to recover 100% from. And so there was talk that he might have to have another surgery. They told him that. He said he wasn't going to do it. So they felt like he probably wasn't going to be able to be ready to play this year either. And so now you're looking at a team, who gave this guy, he got $50 million last year, $50 million in 1 year, And so not only, so they upset that they in that position with him, they upset about, the injury. And then he comes in the offseason and he's doing all this horsing around and becoming a distraction. He, kissing the guy on the forehead and who knows what else he did. I'm sure that they deem his behavior as being a distraction. And so they are looking at how can they get out of this situation. You know what I'm saying? And I think that, some interesting thing, like from a perspective, like from a player, what, general public don't understand is when they sign these crazy contracts, they sign them always looking for the way out. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a whole lot of guaranteed money, but in the back of their mind, they always saying, okay, if this don't go right, how can we, lessen the blow or what can we say or what can we do or whatever. So they look for opportunity sometimes. So in this situation, this guy got hurt. Okay, now he's being a distraction. Man, okay, let's say we don't think the injury is going to heal. We're going to cut him because we don't think that he's going to be able to play. And so we want to recoup the extra $35 million that we hadn't paid yet. So that's what's really going on. And then this whole sideshow of the locker room stuff is what it is. It's a sideshow.
Right. Yeah, because it's like, bro, we've seen worse. I've seen worse in the locker room. Wildest stuff. And it's like, man, like, come on, bro. Like, yeah, like it's just petty. So, yeah. Speaking of not getting paid, and we was talking about earlier, our brother Michael Parsons, he wants his money and he wants his money now. Now, I am a diehard Cowboy fan and I love the Cowboys, to my soul. You have had your experiences with Dallas, and I personally think this Michael Parsons situation is nothing but clickbait and just trying to keep us relevant because we haven't been winning. That's just the truth. So I kind of want you to touch on, Michael Parsons wanting to get his money. And also I want you to talk about, your experience with being a Cowboy, because you was there for a little minute. And has the culture even changed since you've been there to now? Yeah.
Well, first of all, Michael Parsons, every player wants to get paid and they wants to get their money. He's been in the league 4 years, been to the Pro Bowl 4 times. Where the issue is coming in is that he feels like him and his agent feel like he needs to be the highest paid defensive the highest paid non-quarterback player in the history of the league. Okay. There's only certain guys who obviously fall into that type of category. And if you do, you got to be a pretty one of those guys that can change the game, and it's kind of rare. So Parsons obviously has had a lot of success, but I think that from the Cowboys standpoint, they know he's a great football player, but I don't think that they believe that he can change the game every single week he's on the field. That's what I think. I think that they want to pay him, a number that they feel like this is how it always is. I think, his agent feels like he needs to be the highest paid ever. The Cowboys is like, look, we're not quite there, but we think you deserve this. And I think that's what, and again, I'm not in the room and I don't really know, but just, from the outside looking in, that's what I think, And to me, I like Michael Parsons. I think he's a good football player. But at the same time, if I'm Jerry Jones and am I paying him the top, contract in the history of the game? I don't think I am.
I don't think because like I said, I watch the Cowboys. He's not a run stopper, bro. And if you have watched and I argue with people this all the time, Michael Parsons is not a run stopper. He does not help with the run. When we played the Packers in the playoffs 2 years ago, bro, they ran it down our throats. And he's bodied. And people need to understand, Michael Parsons isn't this huge physical guy that's going to sit here and fill in gaps as well. And you know what I'm saying? And it's like, all right, well, cool. My thought process on this, look, I think they should give him X amount of dollars. No, I don't think he deserves to be the highest paid non-quarterback. Bro, that's just outrageous.
Right.
I think give him what I believe what he deserves. Well, not deserve, but I just give him a good amount.
But see, that's the problem. That's the problem. We know that he thinks that he should be the highest paid defensive player in the history. That's the problem. Mm-hmm. And to say, given what he deserves, whose perspective?
Exactly.
From whose standpoint?
The eyes of the beholder on that one.
But it's facts. But it's like, bro, he don't deserve hella money, bro, because like again, he's not a run freaking stopper, bro.
Right. Right. I mean, he's an every down player, but he's not a shutdown. He's not a shutdown corner that can take away half of the field. You know what I mean?
No.
Or he's not like a J.J. Watt, who's a good pass rusher and who can play the run. He
can play the run really good. They still running the ball his way. Like we're afraid. Like again, I'm gonna take it back to the playoff game when they played the Packers, bro. They are still counter draw to his way. And it's like, bro, he's not a big physical guy. He ain't filling gaps, bro. So I think, hey, look, if they can't come to agreement and he wants more, I think, hey, look, bro, offer him up to somebody else. Go get some bigger guys because we have been struggling to stop the run for a while. And Michael Parsons is over there being a Madonna over there, man. So it's just, I don't know. It's just aggravating. Being a Cowboys fan is stressful. I tell people that all the time, bro.
Yeah.
It's not.
Well, I enjoyed my time in Dallas. I was only there 1 year. And I went there with I was coming off of an injury, and I went there, signed a 1 year deal with an option that the team held, and we knew that they weren't going to pick up the option because the numbers were so high. That's how it was designed. But to me, I'm a fan of Jerry Jones, and I know that sounds crazy. A lot of people don't like Jerry, but from a personal standpoint, I'm, because I'll tell you a quick story, and I'll give you.
You don't like us winning. That's what it is, Kevin.
What's that?
You don't like to see the Cowboys win. That's
well, I guess I'm going from a more personable side, but I mean, there's not an owner that I've met that truly cares more about his players than Jerry. And I'm speaking from some stuff from off the field, that he did for me, some stuff that I've seen him do for other people. And so sometimes it goes a little beyond football. But I know that that's not what, people want to hear. People, the Cowboy fans, they want to win football games. And so they question some of the decisions. But and I will say I've questioned some of his decisions as well. But still, I like Jerry Jones, the man. he wants to win, but it might be time for him to loosen the reins a little bit and bring a real GM in there to help him out.
Yeah, and
that ain't happening, but it sounds good to say.
I mean, we would like that. And you was there 2002.
2001, 2002. That's the year Emmett broke the record. He broke the record, and we weren't that good. We weren't very good. We struggled. But it was fun. I'll tell you. I tell people, man, I felt like, man, we was like the Beatles going places, man. You get off the bus. It was like, man, fans outside. I mean, I'm like, damn, bro, we like 2-8, and we got like fans outside the hotel.
It don't feel like it, huh? And I wanna touch more on the Cowboys a little bit. How was it, playing with big hit Roy Williams, bro? Man, bro, big hit Roy Williams, bro. Man, like, did that dude really hit that hard, bro?
He was a player, because Roy was a big safety in terms of his size. He wasn't real fast, but he was kind of like one of those guys that was like, he looked like he could play linebacker, playing at a safety, and he would just bring it. He would bring it. I played also with a guy named Donovan Darius here in Jacksonville. Double D was really lights out. Obviously, and you mentioned Brian Dawkins earlier, but Donovan Darius is one of them guys where if you was going to make a tackle, you knew you wanted to get him down before he come to clean it up, because it was going to be friendly fire all day. He won't go down there and just hit the pile. He didn't care where he was hitting. Roy kind of had some of that in him too, where he was going to come downhill and he was going to clean up whatever was there, so if you sitting there holding the guy up, be prepared to get that knot on your elbow, from that helmet or something, you know what I mean?
Do you have a remember a moment with Emmitt Smith, or what was it like, being in practice with someone as great as Emmitt Smith? Because you hear a lot of talk when people be like, yeah, he's the leading rusher, but he ain't the best running back ever and all that, and like Barry Sanders is better, but I just wanted to know, like, how was it, just being around greatness.
Yeah. So I was there at the tail end, obviously, of Emmitt's career. Like I said, it was the year he broke the record. And so he wasn't the same Emmitt Smith from the mid 90s, when they was going to winning Super Bowls. And so the reason why I say that is because we also had a running back guy by the name of Troy Hambrick, a couple other guys who probably should have got the ball a little bit more that year, but they was going to get Emmitt the record, which, hey, the guy's a luxury from what he did, in Dallas. And so again, I played against him when I was in Jacksonville, but when I was in Dallas, the aura of the name Emmitt Smith and being around Emmitt Smith and what he had done, prior was pretty cool, and I'm not knocking him at all because that's my guy, but he definitely wasn't the same. There you go. He definitely wasn't the same Emmitt Smith as, a few years prior to that.
Makes sense.
No, for sure. But, and, like you said, bro, just being a Cowboys player, bro, you like a celebrity. And, I'm glad you got to have fun and you got to experience that, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. It was. I'm gonna tell you, it was all. Who else was there? Was Larry Allen? God rest his soul.
Yeah.
But
Larry Allen.
Yeah, now Larry, you talk about a monster of a guy. I mean,
was he that fast at that size?
He was. I mean, he could pull. He was nimble. He could pull around. Again, he wasn't quite the same as he was, a few years prior to me getting there. But it's so many just crazy stories that I could tell you about this guy. I mean, he would come in the weight room, a little bit late. Everybody been there. We already, halfway through our bench sets. This dude going there, he just jumped right in. He ain't doing no warm-ups. He trying to, everybody, you put a couple plates on the bar, you doing it, and then you add a 10 or 25. This dude had plate on plate on plate, man. I seen this dude do, what was it, five places, 495, I think. I mean, just no warm-up, just repping that joint. Jesus Christ, dude was strong. And he'd be on the football field, game, practice, whatever, with that dip in his mouth. No mouthpiece or nothing. He'd be out there, he line up, he'd be spitting before the ball snap. I'm like, geez, this is a straight savage.
What? No mouthpiece.
Yeah, he was different. That dude was a man. He was a football player though.
The dip with his mouthpiece, oh man, that's insane.
Right.
Hey, so I want your opinions because since we still on a little bit on the topic of camp. So the Bucks, I believe, fans want rookie Desmond Watson cut because he's 450 pounds. It's his first year. And they drafted him, because I think he came from Florida. That big dude, Kalon, that big dude. I think he came from Florida, but fans want him out of there because he's overweight. So, I mean, you can't really necessarily get mad because at the end of the day, they wanted him. And how important is it to show the camp in shape as a rookie?
Yeah. Well, taking it back, he wasn't drafted. He got invited to Tampa as an undrafted free agent. And I'm with you. I feel like somebody should have gotten his ear a long time ago, and I know it's like a lot of times, and we know everybody, we got a big friend, somebody who should be doing more. But it's like, bro, if you want to live your dream about playing in the NFL, you're going to have to cut some weight. I don't know if there's ever been a guy that big in the NFL. I don't think there has been. And to be honest, I was shocked to even see him in an NFL camp at that weight because I feel like it's a liability. The guy, I've seen some pictures of him. There's one thing to be in Cologne. What's the big boy that your brother played with? Is that
Jaden? What's his name? Jaden Williams. What's his name? I think he plays for the Eagles now.
Yeah. Big boy. I can't think of his name.
Jordan Davis.
Jordan Davis. There you go. Now that's a big old boy, but he don't have a sloppy, the belly hanging over. I mean, and he can run, he can move. He tall as hell. I know this guy's like 6'6". But to be honest, to have that type of weight, 450 pounds, and to have it, that's a liability. And the reason why the Bucks are not allowing him on the field is because of that, And to be honest, I'm not talking bad about the young man. I'm glad he get an opportunity, but I don't know why he's there. And I say that because he was at Florida, but he didn't have a hugely productive career.
No, what I'm saying? Everything was based off of him being that big.
Being that big and being in the middle and being a run stopper. And in the NFL, just like we were sitting there talking about Micah Parsons as kind of this pass rusher, kind of a one-dimensional player. This guy is truly a one-dimensional player. He ain't nothing but a run stopper.
He chased down, not a quarterback.
Yeah, and in the league, you don't have 100+ roster spots to be able to just have a specialized defensive tackle like that. So there's no way he's making the team. And so I feel like from the Bucs standpoint, they're like, why would we put this 450-pound guy out there in Florida, mind you, in Florida, he can go out there and have some type, knock on wood, heat stroke, something like that. It's a huge liability. And to be honest, I think what they need to be doing right now, because they know, again, I don't want to talk about, ain't nobody picking him up. Not unless he lose 70 pounds. And that ain't happening, no time soon. But I really feel like they need to talk to that young man because that's not healthy for him just in life. He's in a training camp right now, so he's working out and he's still 450. Can you imagine if he's not playing football, if he's just at the crib chilling? You know what I mean? If he can't lose weight in training camp, you think he's gonna go home and lose weight without some type of real intervention?
Hold on. He getting paid to be a certain weight and still not getting paid millions to be a certain weight, still not making that weight.
That's what I'm saying. So I feel like they need to sit that young man down and say, listen, this is not really about food. This is about your life, man. You know, you 20-something years old, 400 and, that ain't healthy, bro. It's just not, But I think football, I know again, I shouldn't talk. I don't know about the man's health. I think we can agree that 450 pounds is not healthy.
No, I think that's consistency right there. I think we all agree on that.
Nah, that nigga, this brother starving.
No, he ain't starving. He ain't starving. He ain't
starving.
He don't know what starving feel like.
Nah, man. So I want to also ask you, what are some of the linebackers you excited to see? Who's some of your favorite linebackers to watch today? They'd be like, man.
When we first talked, I'm bad with everybody's names. I know what's the young man out there at San Francisco, Fred Warner.
Fred Warner. Yeah.
Fred Warner, man. I like how he run around the field, man. I mean, he just be going. I like watching him. I like
Bobby Wagner. You look like you like Bobby Wagner.
Yeah, but Bobby Wagner is, it's kind of like we was talking about Emmitt Smith. I mean, his best years is past. I mean, he still is a bit of a player, but he's not the same Bobby Wagner when he was Seattle the first time,
They gave him a high rating on Madden, which is crazy.
Well, again, it's because of, his history. Who he is. They didn't want to disrespect him, be like, all right, but it's off of name. He earned it. He's earned his due. Roquan Smith for Baltimore. I mean, he's a terror. That's another, good football player. The guy here in Jacksonville, he doesn't get a lot of recognition.
Foy?
Oluokun?
Yeah, shout out Foy.
Yeah, Foy. There you go. You know him?
I only know him because it was when the Super Bowl was in LA a couple years ago.
Uh-huh.
I hung out with him and a couple of other homies.
Yeah.
Super Bowl weekend, so I hung out with.
I mean, he's a hell of a. I mean, you talk about a guy that covers sideline to sideline. He's led the league in tackles. He didn't lead it last year. I think the previous 2 or 3 years, even when he was in Atlanta, he's led the league in tackles at least 3 years, and just hasn't gotten the recognition.
Right. It's just because I think it's the team though. Because if he get on the winning team, he gonna get that recognition. It's just the team right now.
Hey man, your boy Lawrence ain't got no Trevor Lawrence ain't got no excuse, man. I think he got everything he needs.
They put weapons around him. They just got to protect him. I mean, I think right now the offensive line is our. I'm not gonna call it a weak spot, but if there is the weak spot, that's what is going to be questioned. I mean, I really think that tandem of our receivers of Thomas and Hunter, and then the other kid, there's another kid, I forget the number 3 guy we got from Washington, but he, our receiving core is solid, and you're right. So he has weapons. Offensive line gotta, they gotta protect and give him some time because I think our defense is solid. I'm not worried about our defense, but we put up some points, we got a shot to have a pretty decent season.
Yeah, at least make the playoffs because I like Lawrence, but it's gonna be time. It's gonna be running out of excuses after a while, man. It's like, can you get the job done and protection? So I mean, he got some pieces around him, man.
Right.
And I like what he did to Justin Herbert in the playoffs that 1 year. That was mind blowing. But I believe he definitely has the ability, man. I want to see them do something so little Duval, can.
That's right.
Sometimes he getting on my nerves on Instagram. Yeah, Jags. I ain't never seen somebody rep the Jags so hard than little Duval, man. I'll be like, damn, bro.
we got to get past Houston in the division. That's what it is.
I don't think y'all get past Houston though. I don't think y'all get past it. I like the Jags, but I don't know. I don't think y'all get past because Stroud is that boy.
Yeah, he's solid.
And who else they get over there?
Tank Dell. Who the receiver? Is it Tank Dell? No.
Tank Dell. He's still coming off that injury though.
I think they'll be all right. Yeah, he's still coming off the injury, but I think
I'm thinking about the receiver, Nico Collins.
Nico Collins.
Yeah, he's solid.
He a dog.
Yeah.
He be doing his damn thing.
Who's Houston's running backs? I forgot who they.
Joe Mixon.
Yeah, they got a kid from Cincinnati. Yeah, Mixon. He said it. Mixon.
Oh, so
he's a good back.
They're gonna look. They're gonna be pretty solid. They're gonna be pretty solid. But another thing I want to ask you, prayers to brother Deion Sanders, and he got that stuff going on, got his surgery and stuff, and all that stuff going on. When you was in the league, did you ever get a chance to meet Primetime?
Yeah. I mean, I've seen him in quick passing. I've seen him other places. I haven't really sat and talked to him. I mean, he probably wouldn't know me if we walked up and spoke, but obviously I know who he is, and I've seen the things that he's been able to do.
Facts. So another thing I want to ask you: how much pressure? Because you was a first rounder. How much pressure does an NFL first rounder have coming into the league? You got camp, you got preseason games. Some of them are going to play preseason games, but is there really a lot of pressure on a first rounder?
I mean, that's all relative to how you feel and what you think. You know what I mean? Like when you say pressure, who's the pressure coming from? Is it pressure on yourself, the media pressure, the fan pressure? Certainly, everybody's perspective is going to be different. And so it's up to the individual of how you deal with that. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I know that I just didn't want, I wanted to come in and play and you never want to be labeled as a bust. You know what I mean? That's the thing. And my first game, we opened up against Pittsburgh, the Steelers, and it was home in Jacksonville. And I remember I got a few tackles, I got a sack and an interception. And after the game, I was like, whoo, I'm good. You know what I mean? Because everybody was like, oh, but certainly, there's that, I want to say it's unwritten. Everybody knows you expected to perform, and when you don't, you know that you're not, and that sucks. So from that standpoint, there's definitely pressure. There's expectations. For me personally, and again, this is just me, I had what I consider to be a solid career. Now, as the number 2 pick in the draft, should have been better. Should I have been in the Hall of Fame? I think when you draft a guy number 2 overall, you expect him to be in the Hall of Fame one day. So unfortunately, I fell short of that measure, but still was very integral in a lot of big moments here in Jacksonville. Like I said, in '99, we had the number 1 defense in the league, and I was regarded as the guy that led that defense. And so, from a standpoint of you talk about pressure, it's all how you how you handle it. And if you put it on yourself, there's some guys don't even think about it, don't even worry about it. You just go out and play, and that's the best way to approach it. You just go out and play, let the chips fall where they may, and go from there.
I can't lie, because how many seasons you played in the league?
I played 9.
Nine seasons. You was a Pro Bowler. I think you had you. I think you had you.
You say Pro Bowler. See, I like to say All Pro. See, All Pro is better than. I mess with people with that. I'm like, All Pro is better because that's But
still, regardless, as a number 2 pick overall, I think that's a pretty on par career right there for a number.
Yeah, well, like I said, yeah, definitely. I'm happy. I'm fortunate with what I was able to accomplish. Don't regret anything. It's just a blessing to have been in that position and to be able to experience, what I was able to experience.
I got one more question for you, It's a little bit off the wall.
All right.
But I know, post-career, you had a nightclub in Miami.
This is going to be a short answer.
At the nightclub in Miami. I just want to know what that was like. Just what that was like. Just running being a used to play in the league, going into the businessman world, running a nightclub in Miami. What did that like? What was it?
So obviously there's that could be a long answer because there's so many parts to it. The first part is when I set out, I didn't intend on owning 2 nightclubs in Miami, by myself when I first got into it, And the reason why that's significant is because I kind of put the cart before the horse. I was so excited about the opportunity that I got into business with a couple of guys that I really didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
And what had happened was these guys didn't have the money that they said that they had.
Mm-hmm.
And I had already put in a significant amount of money. And so I was faced with the position of either letting that ride and walking away or, pulling myself up by the bootstraps and getting into an industry that I really didn't know anything about,
Right.
And so I decided to stick with it. The first couple of years were really tough, really rough. And fortunately, I was able to surround myself with some good people, some people that that knew more about the industry than I did, and I had trusted some people to help me navigate some things. And so within it was about year 3, year 4, we really started hitting it. And I'm proud to say for about 4 or 5 year run there. Maybe 6. We was like the hottest thing in Miami,
Yeah.
And we've had everybody. I should tell people, man, every entertainer, probably athlete had been in there at that time, with the exception of like Jay-Z, Beyonce, and Kanye. Those are some of the big names. But we had so many people from Kim Kardashian to, I hate to say it, but Diddy, before Diddy got in trouble.
Hey, I made him leave the baby oil at home, right?
Yeah, no baby oil,
We don't want
But between the artists, there was so many of them that had come through. I remember one time Justin Bieber walked in. We was like, and he was young Justin Bieber. We were like, what? Chris Brown, Rihanna. Just amazing. And then obviously with the rappers, Drake, Lil Wayne, so many of them. But
yeah, he's popping.
You had it popping like that in your nightclub?
Oh, we had it popping. We had it. We had it popping. It was called Dream Nightclub. That thing was.
It was called what again?
Dream
Nightclub.
Yeah.
Honestly,
we had some good promoters. I had some good managers, good staff. That was just doing things right. And unfortunately, some of the pitfalls in the industry that that really kind of led me to get out of it. From you dealing with just so much BS from the city to people trying to sue you all the time. To it became a headache, and it's definitely not the business to be in when you're trying to raise a young family either.
Yeah, no.
So there's a point where, like we were talking about earlier about being a father and being there for the boys, that was one thing that I needed to go ahead and get it out of it for, because I was able to then coach the kids and help them live out their dreams and goals and get to school like we talked about earlier. So it was fun though.
Yeah, that sounds like a lit.
I got a quick question before we end this. Now, you've been a part of a lot of Hail Marys in Jacksonville.
You said Hail Marys?
Hail Marys. You've been a lot of them. And I think there was one in Cleveland, and I think the Patriots got y'all one time before halftime.
Oh, yeah. Interception, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Can you explain that Cleveland one, though?
I'm trying to remember which one.
It was a minute ago. I think it was
because we had the game in Cleveland. I don't know if you're talking about the bottle gate where they were scoring.
I think it was the bottle gate.
Yeah. So it just ended on obviously like a big play, and they were what it was the officials had. I'm trying to remember how it was. They ruled it one way. Obviously, they ruled it in our favor. And the crowd went wild. The dog pound went ham. It's something you need to Google. You need to Google Jacksonville, Cleveland, Bottlegate. I don't know if they called it Bottlegate. They probably call it that today. But the fans were strong. You know what? That was one of the games that changed the rule. So they had to go to plastic bottles because they was throwing glass bottles. They used to sell beer at the stadiums in glass, Man, them fans was throwing bottles and and glizzies and whatever they had in their hand, they was throwing it on the field.
With hot dogs is crazy.
Oh man,
beef franks in the back.
Craziest thing I ever seen.
No, that's pretty insane. I'm sorry you had to go through that. You know?
Hey, that's funny. Hey, that's an experience though. That's history.
No, that's history. That's an experience. You know, being in Jacksonville, like, you know, that's dope.
Because Jacksonville, we ain't really played in a whole lot of big games, and that's one of the, I was talking to some guys the other day. And they said, "What do you expect from this season?" You know, we want. I'm looking forward to this team getting on a national level where we start to play some real meaningful games. You know what I mean? You get tired of seeing the same, you know, big brand ball, you know, teams. You know, the Chiefs, obviously the Patriots, falling off. But you know, to be able to get on that national stage and to, you know, to play
football, them 12 o'clock games, man.
Man, tired of it.
To keep y'all in the country or something. You feel me? Like it's y'all to Mexico to play. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Hey, Jacksonville got some fine women though. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm just
don't stop that.
I ain't gonna get that.
Look, everybody, listen. Everybody, you know, that's all relative to people. Wherever you live, with the exception of Houston, everybody lives someplace. Anybody that lives someplace, they always like, man, ain't nothing here. You know, when people from the outside be like, oh man, it's popping there. It's popping there. I know you boys in Houston is not gonna sit there and say Houston ain't it, because y'all know it's it. But I sit here in Jacksonville ain't it like that. But people are outsiders to be like, oh man, Jacksonville popping.
Jacksonville and Tampa.
Tampa and Orlando.
Tampa's a little better than Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville is behind Orlando's full of the tourists, you know. In South Florida, that's like Columbia, so we can't even count them.
Before we get off in the joint, can you drop some words of wisdom? You know, you got a lot of guys, man, rookies, man. You got kids that's going off the D1, especially. When is a good time to have a girlfriend, man?
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Can we talk?
Listen, you can have a girlfriend, whatever you want. But I made the phrase earlier, you got to keep the main thing the main thing. You know, and so if you are a person that's easily distracted, then you might not need to do certain things. You know, if a girlfriend is going to distract you, then you don't need it if you can't, you know, stay focused on the main thing. Especially, you know, a kid in high school, you know, who has aspirations. It might not be sports. It might not be football. It might not be baseball, basketball. But I always tell kids that, you know, between your junior year and if you go to school, those school years or the first couple of years out of high school are probably the most important years of your life, because they can shape it in either direction. You know, whether you finish school and you trending up and you are a person that's going out to you know, you find yourself a job and you start going in the right direction, or if you don't and you start going the other way. The decisions that you make at that age can really determine what your life will be like in your 30s, 40s, and 50s. And so, you know, that's paramount that I used to tell my kids, and I still do, you know, because we talked about pitfalls at this early age. And it's like you want to do everything. Of course, you want to be able to go to the club, or you want to go over here, you want to go to this party, you want to see this, you want to see that, you want to do. But at the end of the day, you know, the decisions that, you know, this is the time that you want to really get yourself focused, you know, and understand you can't do everything, you know. But things that you don't do right now, if you do it right, you'll be able to do tenfold in 10, 20 years, you know. And so that's, you know, my thing about keeping the main thing, and just trying to stay focused and take advantage of any and every opportunity that you have, you know, coming your way.
Man, thank you for the words of wisdom.
Yes, sir.
Man, I appreciate you coming out there dropping off that free game, man. I appreciate it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely appreciate it.
I'll be checking y'all show out, man. I seen it. One thing, you know, the one thing I'm happy about this is we ain't been doing a lot of arguing. I'll be watching y'all joint. Y'all be arguing up some stuff. I'll be like, oh,
hey, Give me your top 5 linebackers all time, real quick, before we jump off.
Man,
top 5 linebackers.
So, all right. So I see for me, there's some emotion in there, and there's some heart in that I like versus just straight up play. Mike Singletary was probably my favorite player. One of my favorite players growing up. Mike Singletary, linebacker for the Bears, middle linebacker. I mean, the intensity that he played with was amazing. I'm a Ray Lewis fan. That's my dog. We played, together same years. The trophy. I got the trophy and I got the press release that says the 3 finalists: Kevin Hardy, Ray Lewis, and Zach Thomas. I beat out both of them, but Ray Lewis is my guy. LT. Lawrence Taylor, if you consider, he's obviously an outside. And right now, this is not even in the exact order because I'm sitting there, I'm trying to, the name guys. I used to like watching, the guy young. It's tough sometimes when you talk about guys younger than you because you look at it, you're like, it's just something different. But Luke Kuechly from Carolina was like, if you really broke down his game and his film,
dog,
amazing.
He was a dog.
Sometimes, he'd take off running and he know the play. He getting downhill and he laying the
play recognition
before you even know what the hell going on.
His play recognition was stupid.
Yeah, amazing. And what I got? One more.
About Urlacher.
See, I was going to say Urlacher, but I couldn't. I'm kind of like, Another guy that I like to watch was a guy named Derek Brooks. Derek Brooks. Another fast. Get to the ball, but also anticipate throws. I don't know how many pick sixes he has in his career, but it seems like he has so many timely pick sixes. But
okay. That's a strong.
That's just kind of off the top. I'm sure if I'm we get off, I'm gonna sit there and say, "Oh man, I forgot this guy."
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I don't think I can go wrong with that list right there.
That was a strong 5. Okay. We can't wait to see what they say in the comments about what you said. So
don't be arguing with them bots, man.
Oh, they're gonna be arguing regardless.
Gonna be some arguments. It's all good. It's all good. You said my top 5. I ain't say theirs.
Exactly. Hey, your top 5, your top 5. But hey, honestly though, hey, we appreciate you for hopping on.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it, man. And hey,
yep.
We gonna have both of them on here. We're gonna have
Langston Cam. That'd be cool, man. Now I appreciate it, man. And I'll be checking y'all out and trying to help spread the word to get y'all some views and stuff. So y'all, what's the platforms that this goes on?
Everything.
Twitter,
Instagram, TikTok,
Facebook. There's everything. And the thing is, what we trying to do is, man, like, I know you have seen us going back and forth and arguing, and that's just, it's
opinions.
Just opinions, in this locker room chat. But, the main goal is, man, we really want to educate the youth, man. Yeah. So the best way to educate the youth is putting the people that came before, especially young athletes, the people that came before them, so they can get the knowledge and so they can not fall into the same dumb mistakes y'all did, when you was their age.
Absolutely.
Wise man going on. Exactly. A wise man said, if old people want to get ahead, they must talk to young people. But if young people want to get ahead, they must talk to older people. So that's why you got the mix with, you older guys and me and Kalon speaking for the younger generation. So, we just wanted to be a safe platform for everybody to talk, voice your opinions, and
good stuff. Good stuff. Well, good. Well, if I can help in any way, let me know. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Y'all be good.
Yeah.
All right.